So when a client comes in, the first thing that you're wanting to do is just assess their face yourself, okay? So what you're looking for is expressions. Sometimes clients could be like super expressionate. They could be really raising their brow. If you want to just raise their brows, they can come in like looking surprised a lot of the time, or that's their natural movement. They're always kind of eyebrows are the way up, or they could be quite angry looking. That's how their face like rests. So you want to be looking at all these types of movements in the face before you actually go in to map the brows. Because if someone has got like a high brow and they're naturally always like raising their brow, if you kind of draw their brow when their face is most relaxed, when they open their brows are just going to spring up. So it's important that you're kind of designing the brow in and around all them kind of features and stuff like that too. So if someone's super high, I would be telling them to probably keep their eyes open while I was drawing their brow, so that I could see how high they're going to jump up and stuff. So a bit of both, eyes open, eyes closed, speak to them a little bit to see how things move. And once you've kind of drawn the brow as well, you want them to kind of do all their facial expressions, like up and like angry, happy, so that the brows look good when they're going through all these emotions and stuff like that too. So yeah, that's the first thing that we want to do beforehand. So now what we're going to do is luckily our client doesn't have any kind of facial expressions, nothing strong, so we're good. And again, sorry, we never spoke about Botox there as well. Someone who's maybe had Botox, their face wouldn't move a lot as well, so it's important that you kind of ask them to, if you can, to come prior to having their Botox done. If not, it's fine as well, but what you can find is that they have really like unsymmetrical brows, and they maybe get Botox to fix that, but how is their face going to look like when the Botox wears off and stuff? So it is ideal that you can get it done before Botox, but yeah. Okay, so we're just assessing our client's brows just now. Her brows are naturally quite full. She wants them a little bit fuller, so I could see that she's kind of got these nice thick hairs here, and then she's been growing them in a little bit, so kind of just filling in all the gaps first of all. Her face is actually really quite symmetrical, but we're going to go on to map, and that will help us figure out if there's any areas that we need to make some more symmetrical. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cleanse my client's brows before going ahead. So I'm just using, she's not got anything on her brow, so what I'm going to go in is just use the isopropyl alcohol, and that's going to clean her brows and have it like nice and dry, ready for us to work on, and also sterilised as well. I'm just spraying a little bit onto a cotton pad, and then what I want to do is just rub it for about 30 seconds. And then again, if they had any makeup on, you want to make sure it's all off of the forehead and on the eye and stuff like that as well, because that can completely like make your hands slide and stuff. So you want to make sure that you've got a really good grip and stretch. So by getting all the product and the oils out of the skin is ideal. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so I'm going to use this white paste product, okay, for designing the brows. It's really good. I think it just really shows up symmetry better. I think sometimes when you use a coloured product to draw the brows on, it could be too close to the natural hair, and you can't get the symmetry as good as what you can with a white paste. So I'm just going to be taking a little bit of this white paste product out with a cotton bud and just popping it on the back of my glove and just sort of smoothing it down like so. Okay guys, so the first thing that we want to do is find the centre line, and the centre line is what splits the brows in half, okay? And we're going to use the forehead to go in the centre of that, because if we use the nose to give us a guide as where the centre is, the nose could be slightly off, so we don't want to do that, okay? Nobody's face is 100% symmetrical. So with the white paste and the product on my hand, I'm going to just use the thread just to put a bit of product on. It's white on white, so just make sure you know where it is. And then I want to hold the thread with a little bit of tension, and I'm going to use my middle finger to push the thread onto the skin, because if I just done it like that, I wouldn't get past the nose, okay? So we're going to find the centre of the skin, the centre of the forehead, and we're just going to press it on. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's bang on right in the centre. So what that's done is basically split our face in half, giving us two equal sides, okay? So anything that we go to do from now on is going to be, we're going to use this to let us know that it's symmetrical. Okay, so I'll just give our brows a little brush. And what we want to do now is mark our A point, so the beginning of the brow. So the beginning of the brow naturally should sit anywhere kind of around about the bridge of the nose area. So if we were to draw a line like down there where the bridge of the nose is, In someone that's got what we call a normal eye position, so we spoke about that earlier on, so when you take their eye and you move it into here, if it fits in, that's what we call a normal eye position. If someone's eye doesn't fit in there, that's when they're a close eye position, and if someone's eye fits in there and another eye, so like another part of an eye could, it means they're of a wide eye position. So in someone who's normal, which she is, you could be in this area. If someone was close set, what you would want to do is you'd want to take it a little bit more towards the corner, the tear duct of the eye, and then if they're wide set, you get away with bringing it in a little bit. So you're going to mark these A points, and then you're going to just use your eyes to see. If it looks like they're frowning, then it's probably too close. And then if it looks like their eyebrows are like getting divorced, then yeah, you know that you're going to want to bring it in slightly. So we're going to just mark it here. She's got a few baby hairs they could be doing with coming in just ever so slightly. Now once we've marked these A points, it doesn't mean to say that it's 100% gospel. You can certainly move them as you begin to draw as well. So we're going to mark this one, and we're going to mark this other side. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that the distance between here and here are 100%. Okay, so we want 2 equal parts here. So now we have our beginning of the brow. Now what we want to do is brush the brows again and just assess the B points, so the arc points. Now, how to look for the highest point is basically looking at where the highest hair is, okay? So that gives us an idea of where the arch point is. Could you do a wide eye to the camera for me? Like wide eyes looking at the camera, that's it. So if you were to kind of assess where that should be located, it should be in the outer white part of the eye, and her brow naturally arches up in the right part. So if, for example, her brows didn't, we would always use that outer white area as a guide as to where to put the arch. So both her brows kind of arch up in the same place. Do you have a preferred brow? Do you have one brow that kind of sits a bit better than the other, or a brow that you like a bit better?
Yeah, there is one that's a slightly better shape than one. I think when I got them first waxed, there was a bigger chunk taken out of one than the other.
Oh, right, okay. So do you want to have a little look?
Yeah, I think it's maybe this one that's my favourite.
So you like the arch on that one, okay?
Yeah.
So it's always a good idea to ask your client if they've got a preferred brow, and then what you do is you look exactly where that one is, and sometimes you need to make an adjustment to that one because nobody's brows are 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the B point on this side, so the highest point here. And then we're just going to take the distance here. And yeah, it's pretty much the same. So you can actually use your little eyebrow ruler that you get in your kit to do this as well, but I just like to do everything by sight. And now we've got the same width here and here. Okay, so the body of the brow is exactly the same. So now what we want to do is go in and assess like the C point. So we want to figure out where the brow should end. So naturally, if I was to take this thread and go through the corner of her lashes, her brow ends perfectly, okay? If someone's brow was slightly lower, you know that you would be wanting to bring it up because we're going to use, this corner part of the eye and the corner of the lashes as a guide. And also what we want is if we were to draw a line from the lower part of the bulb right along to the C point, we want that to be sitting on the same line. That's what we call a classic shape. And then it could be slightly higher, and that's going to give you more of a lift. But then again, it can't be lower, okay, because that's going to give you more of a pulled kind of eye. Your eye's going to droop a little bit. Now, in clients that are younger and, they maybe have some hairs and they like their tails being long, naturally, they can keep their hairs there, but never ever microblade past this point on that line. And then we're going to just mirror our work on the other side. So always make sure that you're mirroring your work as well. And then just look at me. Good. So again, just make sure your client's always sitting up straight and their back's always straight. They've got good posture. Okay, perfect. So we've now got our A point, our B point and our C point on both sides. The next thing that we want to do is just start to draw one brow on the bottom line. So you prefer this brow, you really like to want to keep all the thickness of your own brow.
Yeah.
What about like arches and stuff like that? Do you quite like this? Do you quite like the natural shape of your brow just now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You do like it, yeah. So we want to just keep everything pretty much and just trace out our brow. Okay, so her brows actually sit. So this part of her brow naturally sits up a lot higher than all this part. So what we want is that this, the bulb part of the brow to be here, and then there to be a soft incline, and then the tail point should be sitting on the same line as that. So what we're going to need to do is drop her brow a little bit here so that we can get this nice thickness and keep as much of that as possible. A good way to kind of decide or to see if the brow is sitting on the right line on the fat pad is if you slot your pinky in here, you know, you could see that the area here that needs to be covered. So ideally we always want the brow on the fat pad. If the brow hairs go lower than the fat pad, sometimes people's brows are lower here and they're naturally super high there, you know that we're going to need to tweeze a little bit. Also, what we tend to find is that the left side of people's faces are slightly higher than the right side. So a lot of the times in clients, I'm normally lowering this side and then lifting up on that side, but Heather's brows are pretty much symmetrical both sides. So, okay. So now what I've took is a flathead brush, and I'm just loading it up with the white paste, and I'm going to kind of just trace a line along here. Okay, so I'm wanting to draw the shape along the bottom line. The reason we like to use a flathead brush in the white paste is because sometimes when you're drawing, like, you know, the brow bones like could get in the way a little bit, so the pencil can go like a bit funny in this area, whereas if you're just patting on the shape, you could be more accurate. Okay, so we've now got the bottom line done. So what it's done is we've just went over any hairs that would probably want to take away with the tweezers, but it's good because the white paste pretty much covers that. So don't just go and hack into a client's brows with tweezers before you let them see the shape, okay? And if they're happy with it and they're happy for the hairs to be removed, then you can go on and do that, okay? You don't want to just start taking loads of hairs away before you've actually went on. So what we've got is a nice soft line with a really nice shape, so a soft incline and then a soft decline, okay? So you'll always want things to be soft, nothing too archy and too down, too steep, especially in microblading. Waxing and stuff you get away with a lot more, but you want to keep your shapes as soft as possible in microblading. Okay, so now that we've got it done on one side, on the right side, what we want to do is make sure that we can do exactly the same on the left side. So we're going to take some thread again. Just going to ensure that she's sitting up straight and she's looking at me. And then again, just propping a little bit of the thread on the back of the hand. And we want to just take a line horizontal from the lower part of this A point to the lower part of that A point. And that's going to give us a guide as where to begin the brow. Cool. And then before we go on to mark that arch point, what we want to do is just see where the arch, the lower B point. So we've got the high B point here and then we've got the low B point. So everything kind of arches at the same sort of point there. So what we want to do is just take a line from this B point underneath here, straight along and mark it so that we know that we're going to incline up at the same point there. So we've given ourselves a guide from here to here. So this brow does actually sit naturally a little bit higher than that one, so we're going to be reducing the line here a little bit. I'm going to actually hold it a bit like this time. Slow down for me. Okay, so what I want to do now is just assess both lines on the bottom. I'm just going to check here and here. So when I do this, from this lower B point to this lower B point, what I'm wanting to look at is this triangular section underneath, and if it's the kind of same sort of width and size as the one from the other side, and it is. So we're doing good. And then what I want to do is just take the thread from the B point to the tail point on this side, and then the same here, from the B point to the tail point. So I know that I'm going to need to clean up a little bit here. Okay, so I'm quite happy with how these bottom lines are going. Now what I want to do is just do the top of the brow. So I'm just going to brush our hairs kind of in their natural flow again. And I'm going to just draw the top of one brow. Head down for me slightly. Now I'm going to draw the tail first on this side. So again, open-ended tails. Some people might want it to a point, but if you could see how her brows, they don't actually naturally finish on a point. They finish quite thick on the end, so we want to keep that. We don't want these to come straight to a point, because then that's going to make us have this kind of old-fashioned sort of tails. Some people still want that, but it's not something I like to do. Okay, so that shape's looking really good. I like to start from the tail and work my way in that as well, because sometimes, you know, I think I mentioned it before, but when you draw from A to B on this side, I tend to find you end up with like a concave line, like it dips in. So I like to just draw it that way so that I know that it's going to be a bit more flatter on the top. Okay, so for the other side, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to take the thread, same way that we did on the bottom, and we're just going to measure across the way first of all. Okay, so that we know we want to start the A point at the right point, and then what we want to do is just measure from this B point at the top to this B point. So yeah, it's just slightly higher there on that side. Brush our hairs at the moment. It feels like this. So you can see how I hold the brush. I hold it differently all the time. Sometimes I'm like this, like I'm carving out concealer. Sometimes I'm holding it like a wax stick. You know, it just really depends. Don't feel like you need to do it one way. Like, feel free to maneuver your hand like this way, that way, so that you can get the perfect controlled lines. And put your head down for me. So what I'm looking at here is like how it kind of is shaped here to there. So I just need to know that. A little micro brush just to clean up in here. And then I'm just looking at the B point so I could see that this tail kind of flicks out a little bit more, so I know that I'm going to need to come down a wee bit again. Down. Another way to just make sure that your tails are kind of going off at the same point is just if you take the thread and you just like line it up to and look at the part of the ear that it falls on. Look at the part of the ear that it falls on, and then just hold it and just do the same on this side. Yeah, so up a wee bit there. So I'm using this wee micro brush with some alcohol on it just to clean. You can use cleanser as well. You'll see all of that, the stuff that we use when you're on the course, when you're doing your model. So I feel like we're pretty much nearly there. So what I'm going to go and do now is just reduce the size of the white paste around about and prepare it for showing her. Okay, so it's quite, you know, it'd be quite daunting for your client to see it like that. So we need to make it a bit softer looking for them. Take a bit of this one. Also, with the white paste, if you have it, like, so for example, I've got a bit more white paste on that part to what I have on that part, it could make them look like they're being unsymmetrical as well. So you want to make sure that they're even amounts of white paste on both sides of the brow. Could you pass me some wipe it, please, Laura? You okay? You good? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one there. So I've just got a little bit of cleanser on the brush and just again, just tailor in this white paste. You want to clean from the inside as well so that your lines are really nice and controlled and clean. And then I feel like I'm pretty much at a stage where I'm wanting to show my client, and then what we could then go and do is tweeze any wee bits of hairs away that we need to tweeze away and just clean it up even more. So I'll let you have a little look. Now, it's drawn very square at the front. It's going to be a lot softer than that. So we need to do this so that we can get the symmetry. But what we aim to do is just kind of to keep it away from the corners, to keep it very, like, from harsh looking. That's the overall thickness.
Okay, yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's how I would want them.
Yeah, so you could see just how this brow, like if I brush the brow into being fluffy, if you want to have a wee look, you could see how that brow just totally fills the shape pretty much. And this area here where she's kind of lacking a bit of hair, where she's going to need a bit of help. So she does, you know, we thought they were 100% symmetrical, but there's, you know, there is some areas that are going to need it to make it look even better. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is just go in and clean the shape even more. So I'm going to open out this box a little bit. And then do you mind me just tweezing away a couple of wee hairs from underneath that brow? Is that all right?
Yeah, do what you need to do.
And just under here, I'm just wanting to tweeze away a couple of hairs. And then just a little bit from the top of this one. There. So, I feel like we're good to go. I'm just going to mark on where I want them to end again, just to make sure that I don't go past that line. And then here. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much us. So I'll let you have one little final check, and then we'll lie you down.
Yeah, I like them.
That's
like
good, yeah? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie her down and I'm going to just check them from a lying down position. You won't need to see it. You'll see it on your day of your model, and anything kind of that I need to clean up again, I'll just go on further to do that, okay?